Hey guys, how's it going? Kripparrian here. So there is going to be a pretty interesting event, Taverns of Time, coming to Arena in a few weeks from now, and this event will have us basically play Arena with the addition of a whole bunch of new and very powerful cards. So in this video, I'm going to review those cards for you. Being the Arena expert that I am, I think I have quite a bit to offer here. I have seen some of the other people review these cards, and I think most people compare the cards to one another, where that's not really fair because the truth is, except for like one or two, all of these cards are insane. Like, if you want to go by the 5-star system, they're almost 100% 5 stars, 6 stars in some cases. They're just insane. These cards are all absolutely crazy, and it should be pretty fun, at least for a while, to play with them. Now, obviously there might be some imbalance, and as there usually is with these timed events, but try to ignore that, have fun, and maybe don't pick Paladin searching for Spike Ridge Steed when this event hits live servers. So what are we getting? We're getting 2 new class cards for each class and a whole bunch of neutral cards. And because there are a lot more of the neutral cards, probably you're going to be playing with mostly the new neutral cards rather than new class cards. So to kick it off, we have Chromie, 4 mana, 4/4, shuffle 4 historical epochs into your deck. These are the cards that you shuffle into your deck. It's a 4 mana 4/4, by the way, so it's pretty low stats. What do you get? So first one, give your minions +2/+2, draw a card when this is drawn. So it's like an auto cast spell. So remember, it's a 4 mana 4/4, but this will probably hit at least one thing. So it's +2/+2 at least on one thing, potentially game winning though. So it's pretty good. Calling up Stratholme, deal 2 damage to all enemies, draw a card when this is drawn. So again, get a little bit of value guaranteed there. Add 2 random spells to your hand, draw a card. Again, you get pretty decent value there. As some kind of relative comparison, adding 2 random spells to your hand is probably very similar to Thoughtsteal in Arena, which is pretty good. It is typically actually worth 3 mana, so you get that for free when you draw it after you've played Chromie. And the last one here, add 2 random legendary minions to your hand and you get the redraw effect as well. So obviously, Chromie is absolutely insane. Then we have Infinite Murloc, which is a 1 mana 1/1. Shuffle an Infinite Murloc into your deck. Your future Infinite Murlocs get +1/+1. So at face value, this card is probably not that good, but a lot of these cards have card draw effects, and it really depends on the rarity of these. So if you can reliably get 2, 3, maybe 4 Infinite Murlocs in your deck, oh my god, these cards are just going to be completely insane. So again, the card might not be very good, but if we see a lot of these, because we don't know how frequently we can expect to see these cards when we draft decks when the event starts, it might end up being just absolutely nuts. Murazan, we have a new legendary here. From now on, this is a battle cry effect. It's not like Nozdormu, where the card has to be in play. It's from the point that you play this card. That's a 7 mana 6/6. Your turns are 15 seconds, and you draw 2 extra cards. Now, your turns being 15 seconds kind of sucks, but it might seem weird, but usually if you have more options in Hearthstone, you can do your turns faster because there's clearly a better one. Typically, tough spots are where you don't have any great answer to what your opponent is playing, and typically that's the case when you don't have that many options. So it might seem like this effect is at odds with itself. I'm going to tell you guys that in general, in Arena, for an experienced player, this is fine. So some people compare it to the legendary Mage weapon, and they say it's bad for Arena, and that's true. It's generally bad for Arena, though not always, but it is generally bad for Arena. But let me tell you what, the Mage weapon is a weapon. This is its 6/6 minion, and it's a dragon for dragon synergies. This is a hell of a lot better than the Mage weapon. It's neutral, so it enables some of the other classes to make use of it. A lot of the time when you're playing Mage in Arena, you're playing a control deck. You don't have to play a control deck. You could be playing an aggro deck. You could be playing a hunter, and you get this card, and it's absolutely insane. So, yeah, all of these cards have really high potential, except for like 1 or 2, and those will be pretty obvious. And we have a Possibility Seeker here, 4 mana, 4/5, sorry, and you shuffle your hand into your deck and you draw that many cards. So it seems like because it doesn't offer card advantage, that is a pretty poor card. But again, it's not. It's a really good card. These shuffle your hand back and redraw that many card effects in Magic the Gathering are actually really busted. And this is basically for free because a 4 mana 4/5 is good enough in Arena. So it's a good enough card to play on curve. And if you're in the late game and you're drawing your 1-drops and 2-drops, you save them for a few turns, you play this, you cycle them into actual late game, you're probably going to win the game then. So that's pretty good. Stasis Dragon, a 6 mana, starts dormant. After 2 turns, you get a 10/10 rush. Is that good? Yeah, it's absolutely insane. Temporal Anomaly, 2 mana, 2/2. When you draw this, add a random spell to your hand. So again, people say this card is bad or something. It's not bad. Yes, if it starts in your opening hand, it might not trigger the effect, but I think it will because, the unidentified cards, they have the when you draw this effect, and that triggers. So I think this is essentially 2 cards in one, and spells are notably good in Arena. Doesn't matter if they're bad spells. This will probably get you spells off of the Arena ban lists, which will make it extremely hard for your opponent to play around it. Elemental thing, it's a very good card. Time-bound Giant, it's an 8/8 giant like the others, so it costs 1 less for each card you've drawn. So I imagine it counts the ones in the mulligan stage. So if you have 15 cards left in your deck, this will probably cost 0 to 2 mana around there, because sometimes you'd keep cards in your opening hand, so I don't think you're drawing them at that stage. Yep. Is that insane? Yeah, that's pretty insane. At that stage in the game, you're usually swinging big board clears and you want to get your big threats. So if you're doing like a board clear and then you're playing this for like 1 mana, you're probably going to win the game. So that's really good. Timeline Witness, 3 mana, 2/4. Instead of drawing your normal card each turn, discover a card from your deck. So that's pretty good. Getting a specific card when there's a lot of answers in most of the Arena decks that we play right now is certainly a very strong effect, but I just don't know if it's like game breaking. I think this is actually a pretty mediocre power level card. Then we have Timeway Wanderer, 5 mana, 6/3. Battlecry discovers a spell, reduce the cost by 5, then put it at the top of your deck. So this is very much like Ethereal something. I forget what it is. It was a while ago. It was a 5 mana, 6/3. Discover a random mage card, basically. And with that, you add it to your hand, but it costs full price. That card is really good, especially for Arena. So with this, you don't get it to your hand, but it costs 5 less. So you lose a card draw, but you get a 5 mana discount. That's pretty good. That's no joke, guys. That's no joke at all. Even for a 2 mana discount, that's probably worth it. The downside is, I think in some classes, if you're playing like Paladin, you might play this and you might get like 3 1-mana secrets. So I think it's a card that's probably really good in like 7 or 8 of the classes, but notably weak in Paladin because of the inconsistency involved. Wildlands Adventure, 5 mana, 5/5, add a random card from the Hall of Fame to your hand. Most of those cards are really good. It's a 5 mana, 5/5 with card draw. Better than that, only good card draw. Better than that, your opponent has absolutely no clue what you just got. Card draw. So that's pretty good. You might see ice blocks from any class when you play this. So that is really, really nuts. Now moving on to the class cards. Some of these are actual garbage. Starting us off, we have Flash Forward. This card might not look too bad to you guys. Keep in mind you're getting these mana crystals on the spot. So essentially, this card costs 1 mana to play. So it's 1 mana, get 2 more mana crystals ramp, but you also ramp your opponent. Your opponent gets the 2 mana right away, however, so it's kind of weak in that sense. You both draw 2 cards. So if this is actually a constructed card, I would be playing it. This would be a really good constructed card because of like Mill Druid, Togbaggle, and all the other shenanigans that Druid's able to do right now. However, in Arena, typically card draw in the late game is not going to mill anyone. Milling is very rare in Arena. Even when Cold Light was being played, it was very rare. Most people who are playing Arena are hovering in the 3 to 6 card range, and very rarely does it go outside of those boundaries. So this card will almost never mill your opponent, and because he's getting the mana crystals in full on his turn and you're getting them delayed, this is an actual pretty crappy card. The other card, however, is a bit more interesting. It's a 6 mana 6/7 at the start of your turn. Summon the highest cost minion from each player's deck. So how about that? The reason this is pretty good is because you can base your deck around it. Druids certainly get their fair share of large minions, and they're generally quite strong. They're like, if you're just standard Ironbark stuff, it has the immediate impact, so it's very strong. It's a 6 mana 6/7, and it's a dragon, which is certainly good enough to play, so it's kind of like a high value removal target. This is actually a good card. It's not quite on the super crazy power level of a lot of these other cards, but this is actually a good card. Hunter cards, we got Chrono Shot. It's a 3 mana removal. Return an enemy minion to your opponent's hand. It costs 2 more. So it's kind of like a better sap. I think it's better. It's worse because you do fewer things when you're playing Chrono Shot. Well, let's be realistic. If hunters had sap, they would be so much stronger as a class. So this has extreme synergy with just being a hunter. And the effect is generally going to be better than sap. You can count this as hard removal, hitting anything 9 or 10 mana, because like if you freeze trap a 10 mana card, it costs 12. The only way you're playing a 12 mana card is by having 2 pint-sized summoners up from the previous turn, which basically means you're not playing 9 and 10 mana cards that are chrono-shotted. So very interesting, very powerful effect. Infinite Wolf, this card is just insane. It's a beast hunter, 4 mana 5/5 with Rush. After this attacks, shuffle it into your deck and give future Infinite Wolves +2/+2. There's a 4 mana 5/5 Rush. It makes you have an infinite deck. It gives you very powerful effects with card draw, with tracking. And then it's a 4 mana 7/7 Rush, a 9/9 Rush, an 11/11 Rush. This card's just absolutely crazy. Then Mage cards, you have Cavern Dreamer. It's a 2 mana 1/3, so low on the stats, but at the end of your turn, you add a random spell. It costs 2 or less to your hand. So yes, 2 or less spells are generally fairly low impact, but you get that. Like if you play this, your opponent can't react to you playing it. So you're just getting that effect. So imagine this. If it was a 2 mana 1/3 Battle Cry, add a spell that costs 2 or less to your hand, is that good? Yeah, that's actually really good, because it's going to be pretty good in the late game, and it's very good in the early game. But this is a reoccurring effect. In terms of arena values and removal being premium, and constant win more effects being again premium, I think this card's actually better than Mana Tide Totem, and it costs 2, so it's insane. Then we have add 3 random spells from the past to your hand. So you're probably getting some interesting things from the wild format when playing this. I would rank it slightly better than Kabbalah's Tome as a result. And it costs 4. So that card is absolutely crazy good. Paladin stuff, we have Blessing of Aeons. Give a minion at the end of your turn, gain +1/+1. This card is pretty low impact, but again, it's a win more card. It's a Paladin card. Paladins really thrive off of crap like this. I think it's kind of weak, but I could be wrong on this. This might actually be relatively strong based on the pace of the game with all these cards added in Arena. The other Paladin card is a Dragon, 5 mana 5/5. That's pretty good. That's good enough to play. A 5 mana 5/5 Dragon is a pretty decent card in Arena. When you draw this, you summon a 1/1 Wee Whelp. Yeah, that's pretty good. You basically draw this alongside a free card draw Wisp. Is that good? Yep. That's actually pretty good. Priest cards. We have a 2 mana spell that adds 2 random cards your opponent played this game to your hand. This card is on the weak side in terms of the effect, because Arena is generally curved around the 3 mana crystal area. So, you're playing this, you're getting 2-3 mana cards. That's kind of weak. It's not great, but it's not bad. You're still gaining card advantage, and it costs 2 mana. It's a pretty fair card. Fair cards don't define Arena anymore, but it's not bad. I think it's pretty good. Ripple in Time as the other priest card discovers a minion, and if you play it this turn, it has Echo. This is a really strong effect. You can get yourself a late game card. You can get yourself a legendary card. You can get yourself possibly some very interesting early game cards and play those because they have Echo. There's certainly some very powerful 1 and 2 drops that you might be able to really take advantage of this card. It's not a high power level card, but it's still quite strong. It's certainly on par with most of the other good Arena cards being played right now. Deja Vu Rogue card. Discover a copy of a spell you played this game. Again, probably better than you think. You get your combo activator. You get to double up, sometimes intentionally, because as a rogue, you might not be playing that many spells. So, you might be able to specifically double up on a card you really need. It's just a very useful, flexible card. You get your combos. You get to re-punish your opponent perhaps a second time. Not bad at all. Thief of Futures is a 4 mana, 4/3 rogue minion, and when you play it, you add a copy of the top card of your opponent's deck to your hand. So you get the card advantage, you get the information, your opponent kind of knows that you got the information. It's an aggressively statted 4-drop, and I think that makes all the difference because Rogue in Arena is all about staying ahead and getting value through your hero power and taking advantage of the tempo related to having weapons all the time. So if this is like a 4 mana 3/4, it'd be a lot worse, but a 4 mana 4/3, this is a good card. Shaman cards, we have Master of Realities, 6 mana 5/7, so it's a fairly poor statted card, and after you summon a minion, transform it into a random minion that costs 2 more. So the evolution effect is generally strong in Constructed because you get to pick cards that are very good evolution candidates. You don't get to do that in Arena. Now, the other reason that evolution is a strong mechanic, particularly in Arena, when it was in Arena, I suppose, was that you could get a lot of value, but that value is generally realized from value trading, then evolving injured minions into new full health minions. Now, with this, you are not getting that value. You do not get to value trade because you transform them as they are being summoned. Now, the advantage of that is you get a +2, which is certainly very powerful, and because it's after you summon a minion, not play a minion, it will work on your totem hero powers. Your totem hero powers will essentially become random 3-drop minions, which is very good. It's essentially a fairly good late game, fairly statted, win more Shaman card. I think that's worthy of a pretty good status. 5 stars, if you will. Then the Stasis Elemental, new Shaman Elemental, the 4 mana 3/5 that freezes a minion until this leaves the battlefield. Now, there's currently quite a lot of removal in Arena, so while this card seems very good, I think it'll be fairly polarizing, where when you're playing against like a mage or a priest or a paladin, it will not be very useful as it will die. But still, it's probably at least Ascension Shield Master in that state, and you have the elemental tag, so it's still pretty good. Welcome to Arena, boys. Warlock cards, we have Grasp the Future, draw 2 cards, they cost 4 less, it costs 4. If you're running mostly mid-range, basically if you have a lot of 1-drops, this sucks. If you don't have a lot of 1-drops, which is typically the case in Arena, this is really good. That's about it. Rift Warden, 7 mana 5/5, when you play it, you discard a random minion. So I like that. Selective discards has existed in other games for a while now, and it has certainly championed a few of those other games. In Hearthstone, it's been full random crapshoot with discard, which has really kind of punished this whole mechanic. This is great. It's too bad it's not a constructed card, because I'd love to see this in constructed. But even in Arena, it's pretty good. There's not that much silence. There's not that much transform removal. So this is going to get value. This is going to get a lot of value. It's also a dragon. Somehow. Does it look like a dragon? No, not really. It's got like hands and shit. I don't know. Whatever. Lastly, we have the warrior cards. We have a Draconic Herald. It's a 6 mana, 5/6, also a dragon. And the battle cry is discover a minion, they give it +3/+3 and put it on top of your deck. So I've seen some people compare this to other hand buffing effects, but it's not fair to do that at all, because in Hearthstone, there's a lot of minions that are a hell of a lot stronger if you are selectively buffing them with stats. So the reason this card is really good is if you need a lot of value, you get yourself a lot of value. If you need yourself a lot of tempo, you can get yourself a lot of tempo by choosing an early game minion. And if you want yourself a power play, you can hopefully see an option with like an egg, maybe a Raging Worgen might do. That would be pretty good to have extra 3/3 stats, maybe a Frothing Berserker with 7 base health. That's gonna basically rattle some cages. So, the flexibility of the card makes this very strong. This is, again, a top tier card. Then lastly, we have Fate Cleaver, warrior weapon, 4 mana, 4/2. After this kills a minion, destroy all copies of it wherever they are. So is that effect very good in Arena? Not very in general, but there are going to be enough exceptions through echo cards, through paladins, and having like a whole bunch of buffed dudes. And trust me, there are going to be paladins when you're playing Arena. So I think the flexibility of this card is actually a bit hidden, but we're going to realize it's actually a really good card in the end. So that's it. Hope you guys enjoy my review of the cards. Basically, my advice is play Arena right now. But if you must, wait a few weeks, see this event, play for fun. I don't think it'll be very well balanced just because these cards are all collectively on an extremely high power level. And just get the most out of it. Should be a lot of fun. Hope you guys agree. And I'll see you guys tomorrow.